Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be money and family or passion. Well, you've probably heard the platitude, many people tend to say it, where they just say, follow your passion, as if that is the all you need, one size fits all success strategy. But there's a lot more to following your passion in order to reach your full potential and do things that you love for a living and get paid really well for it. So I've got an email from a guy who he's in his mid 30s now, he says, and he now works in the trades. He makes about 55,000 a year, and he says for all of his 20s he was, quote, following his passion and his music career, and that didn't work out like he had hoped it would. And now he's working in the trades. He makes $55,000 a year. He has no debt, and he saves 30% of what he earns and invests it, which is what everybody should be doing. No matter what you do for a living, 20 to 30% of what you make should be getting put away in stocks, retirement accounts, crypto, whatever kind of investments that you're going to invest your money in, because the idea is as you work throughout your life, 20-30% of what you make gets put away, and you can't touch it, you don't spend it, it just gets put in investments that continue to compound over the decades as long as you work. And even, I remember years ago there was a guy who he'd worked as a UPS driver for all of his life, but he put most of his money away, he saved it, he invested it. And when he passed away, he had tens of millions of dollars that, I can't remember, I think that guy didn't even have an heir to his fortune. But this guy, he worked a regular job, working class job, but he saved and invested his money. And then by the time he got older, he had tens of millions of dollars. So it's definitely possible to work in the trades and be very wealthy when you retire, as long as you start young through the magic of compounding. But the problem he's got now is he's in his mid-30s. He's got things he wants to do, but like a lot of people who have taken risks and gotten burned, it didn't work out the last time he did it. And I remember a strategic planner I met many years ago, back when I was in the real estate industry, and he said there's no such thing as a bad idea, only bad plans. Because the reality, like in this particular guy's case, he was in the music business. Very few people make it in the music business and do very well financially. Now, it doesn't mean you can't earn a good living in the music business, and we'll get into that. But you have to have a strategy that you're employing. Just working hard is also another thing. Oh, just work hard and you'll be successful. Well, you have to work hard and be focused and be employing a strategy, the kind of strategies that I talk about in Mastering Yourself. Everything I've learned in life about pursuing your purpose, your passion, and actually becoming successful and wealthy at it, I've got the strategies in Mastering Yourself, and you can read it for free at understandrelationships.com. Doesn't matter if you're a musician or you're an attorney or you're an entrepreneur, the strategies are the same. The book teaches the fundamentals of the science of high achievement. Most people, especially people that go into the music business, they think just getting up and playing and eventually money will just come to them. Now, it does happen for some people who are incredibly talented and get noticed, but for the majority of musicians, they just don't have a good strategy, and they don't focus on doing things like business people do. And we'll get into that, and I'll have some specific tips that apply really to any industry. So I got a quote that I wrote, and then we'll go through this guy's email. And the quote says, following your passion is pointless unless you are going to study the most successful people in your chosen career or life's work to model what they are doing so successfully to monetize what they do for a living. Working hard doesn't guarantee success in life. We get paid for the value that we bring to the marketplace. Our value is determined by growing our reserve of knowledge and developing our gifts, skills, and talents to the best of our ability. So let's go through his email. He says, "Hi, Coach. I hope you're doing well. I have a question for you regarding my dating and relationship life, which has been bothering me lately. How much does money matter? What matters if it matters to you? If you're happy, if you love your life, if you enjoy what you do for a living, hopefully love what you do for a living, and you have a great social life, great social circle, you have lots of great social activities, you're going to be a happy person and you're going to attract a woman who is on the same or a similar level as you. So there's lots of very extremely wealthy people that are absolutely miserable. They're worth millions and millions of dollars and they're absolutely miserable and totally unhappy. And there are people that don't have a pot to piss in and they're having a great life and enjoying the hell out of it. So really, happiness is a conscious choice. You choose to give the meanings to the things that are going on in your life. You choose to give the circumstances of your life the meanings. You can give something that, or the circumstance of your life, positive, powerful, empowering meanings, or disempowering meanings that make you feel sad and depressed. It's your choice. The work is the same. He says, I'm a good-looking guy. I lift weights at least 5 days a week. I eat clean and have a great sense of humor. And I'm well-read because I fucking love to read. And I regularly have women tell me I'm very good-looking. I know that I'm a great guy and a catch, but I have one major problem. A problem I know a lot of guys worry about. My income. I work in the trades and make $55,000 a year. I'm good with my money, don't have any debt, and invest 30% of my income every month. That is awesome. Doesn't matter whether you make $55,000 a year or you make $500,000 a year. People that make $500,000 a year oftentimes are living paycheck to paycheck because they're spending all their money. There's people that live like you, they're frugal, and they're always investing 30%, and they get to be in their 50s and 60s and they have enough money to retire. There's people that have made $500,000, millions of dollars a year, every year for many years, and they're the same age, they're in their 50s and 60s, and they're completely broke because they didn't put any money away. So what did it really matter? Because at some point, you're going to be too old to work, and you're probably not going to want to work all the time. Maybe do something small, but all men have to have something that's going to keep them busy because you can only lay in a hammock and swing out in the hammock by the palm trees in the ocean for so long before that gets boring. You got to move around and experience life. As one of the things that Panache Desai said, life happens when you move. Stagnation happens when you die. He says, but I often feel insecure that women are put off by the fact I didn't go to college, work in the trades, and don't make enough money. Well, you're insecure about it, so anytime a woman even brings it up or talks about it, you feel bad about it, and she can tell you're bothered by it. But if you're proud of yourself, I mean, you should be proud of yourself. Making $55,000 a year and you have no debt and you put 30% of your income away every month, that is awesome. You are more financially stable than the majority of the people in this country. I think it's the overwhelming majority of Americans don't even have $1,000 in their bank account, and you're saving 30% every day. So financially, whether you realize it or not, you're way ahead of most Americans. So you're in the elite. So, I mean, $55,000 a year is good money. And the fact that you're able to live within your means and save that and invest it, you'll be a millionaire by the time you get to be in your 50s and 60s if you keep that up. And obviously, you keep investing in good stocks and good investments that give you a nice return. Maybe it's a retirement account or a 401k or a SEP IRA or whatever it happens to be. He said, I spent most of my 20s chasing my dream of trying to be a career musician. I chased my passion and purpose, but now I'm in my mid-30s and worry that I made a huge mistake and should have pursued a more high-status career during that time. So a lot of musicians choose to go into the music business, but very few ask how many musicians that you know that play regularly even have an email list. So I was watching just recently, there was a documentary on I guess he's kind of like a jazz / folk singer, Gordon Lightfoot. He had a lot of big, huge hits in the 1970s. And so what's interesting is to watch him is that from the time he was very young, he was always playing music, and he started writing music. He would write and he would perform. He would write and he would perform, and he kept refining his craft. There were times where he put his album together, it would start to take off, and then it would crash, and the sales would be over for that particular album. But he loved music. He kept playing, he kept performing because he absolutely loved it. Repetition is the mother of skill. And so when you look at the history of what he actually did, and even my old business partner James did this in the 1970s, is if you're a musician, when you go and you perform in front of people, say you're at a venue and there's 100 people there. Well, out of those 100 people, there might only be 2 or 3 people that really love your music, that are really passionate about it. And those are the kind of people that if you're performing, you should be announcing to everybody in your audience how they can sign up for your email list. Maybe you even have a part in the intermission where you meet and greet with the people, and you handwrite or you put in their name to the email list. And all you have to do is say, hey, if you really like my music and want to know where I'm playing next, come up front, fill out a card, give me your name and your email list. And whenever I'm playing, I'll send you a schedule of my concert dates. And so what happens is the months, the days, the weeks, the months, and the years roll by where you continue to do that. Every time you perform, your email list is going to continue to grow. It's the same thing with your social media. But you should be getting an email list, because the email list, as long as you got those email addresses, you don't have to worry about getting deplatformed or banned on certain social media. You always need to have a way to contact your customers. And as the years roll by, and what you saw with Gordon Lightfoot in the documentary, as he played at a bunch of venues in town and where in Canada where people would go and listen to live music. And so when people knew he was playing, because he played in places on regular nights, they really loved his music, they would continue to go to those places. And so just having his name, Gordon Lightfoot, is playing tonight, people that knew him would show up just to listen. And if it's a bar or it's a restaurant where there's food and other things that they sell there, as time went by, you think about Gordon Lightfoot when he's brand new. He gets up, a few people, hey, yeah, great music. He doesn't really have an audience at that point, and he's just getting paid, back then, probably $30-$40. I mean, because this is the 1970s. But nowadays, you might get paid a couple $100 as a band or musicians to go and play a venue each night. But you got to think of, just like you're now watching this particular video, there's a small percentage of people, this is going to be the very first video they ever see of mine. And so what's going to happen is that a small percentage of those people are going to subscribe to me on YouTube. They're going to click the little bell so they get notifications, or any other, maybe it's Facebook that they're watching this and they start following me, or they're going to go to my website and sign up. And so when people say yes to you by clicking the little bell and subscribing to you, if you're on YouTube, every time I produce a new video, they're going to get notification of it, and then they continue to engage with my content. But the important thing is, obviously, you got to find ways to monetize these things. So, like, for example, there are ads shown in my videos. There are ads shown on my website articles. I have paperback books to sell. I have digital books to sell. I have audio books to sell. I have hardcover books to sell. I also do coaching. I have products. I have mugs. I have t-shirts. I also encourage people to make donations by going to my website and clicking the donate button on the toolbar at the bottom of the page on any page of my website. And a certain percentage of people that hear that message are actually going to go and do that. And that's why I say the same thing. That's why there's always a message, free ebooks at understandingrelationships.com, because these videos will get downloaded, they'll get copied, they'll get shared, they'll get passed around. And that message is on every single video, directing people to go to my website, because more than anything, I love subscribes, but what I really want is people's email address. That enables me to have a relationship with my customer, the people that actually are most interested in what I have. And if you're a musician, it's the same exact thing. You have to have an easy way to accumulate email addresses. And so just like what you saw in the documentary with Gordon Lightfoot, the longer he played, as the days and the weeks and the months and the years rolled by in his music career, he kept accumulating a bigger audience and ways to stay in contact with that audience. And so therefore, when you first start out, like say you're a band and today's your first paid gig, say you get $200 for that gig, and you go and you play that gig for an hour or two, whatever it is, maybe 3 hours off and on through different sets. Maybe there's other musicians that play in between, and maybe you walk out of there with 5 or 10 email addresses that night. That's not a lot, but if you're playing every week, 1 or 2 concerts every week or 1 or 2 venues every week, your email list grows. And so what happens is over time, and what you saw with Gordon Lightfoot, eventually when he goes and plays at a venue, the venues are packed. And these started out as being smaller venues. And then when he's able to fill up the smaller venues, the bigger venues hear about it and they say, wow, everybody likes this guy's music. Let me get him to play here, because all of his customers, all of his fans will come to my venue and eat and buy my food and my drinks. And then they would go to Gordon Lightfoot and say, I'll pay you double what that small venue is playing if you come play at my venue. And now he's got a raise because he's raised his value position or proposition. So when Gordon Lightfoot goes and plays at the bigger venue, his audience comes with him. His customers come with him, and they spend money at the venue. And over time, as he did that over several years, the audience got bigger and bigger and bigger. He continued writing songs because he was a songwriter, and he continued to get better at it because repetition is the mother of skill. And other successful musicians heard about him and really liked his music, like Bob Dylan became a big fan of Gordon Lightfoot's music, and they later became great lifelong friends because of that. So him focusing on his passion and doing it over and over, playing at different venues, accumulating an audience, and nowadays with email and social media, or I should say email lists and social media, you're able to start a relationship with your customer that can last a lifetime. When you start out on day one, you got no audience. When you've been doing it for 10 years, you'll probably have thousands of people in your email list. And when you say, hey, I'm going to go play at Bob's Diner or whatever I'm just making that up, but whatever venue it happens to be, and then you show up and all your fans show up and they spend a lot of money at that place, you're very valuable to that venue. Because just paying you a few $100 or a few $1,000, whatever it happens to be, if you bring in the people that come and spend lots of money, you earn more money yourself. You have t-shirts, you have mugs, you have a website, you have ads on your website, you have music videos, you have interview videos. And like this particular guy, which we'll get into it in a second, he loves to read. So maybe he can tell interesting stories. Maybe he also writes interesting articles about the books and things that he reads. So in addition to being a musician, he's a well-read human being, and he has intelligent things to say, or he writes about intelligent things or things that he's passionate about on his website. The point being is that your audience will be interested to learn about you, to consume your products. In this case, it's music. You start putting, like in this case, a musician can make money on YouTube ads, Facebook ads, website ads, merchandise. You can sell CDs. You have digital downloads of your book. But today in the music business, where the real big money is made when they go out on tour. And going out on tour, again, if you have a lot of people that know about your music and love your music, you can go to different venues and sell those venues out, and that's how you make a lot of money. So you got to think of yourself, even though you're in the music business, really what you are is you're just like a television station or a newspaper. You earn your viewers and your readers one person at a time, but you have to have a way to contact them. That's why if you're a musician, the most important thing you have to do is get as many email addresses as possible every time you play from people that really enjoy your music. Most people probably aren't going to like it enough or care enough to want to give you an email address. That's okay. You just want to get the email addresses of the people that do. Because the people that do like your music, like attracts like, people that like the same things, tend to like each other. People that like your music will probably have friends that will also like your music. And so through the magic of referrals, they will bring their friends and family, and over time, over many years, your audience will grow. And then you have power and you have leverage, and you can pick and choose the venues you want to play at. And so your value, that's how you raise your value proposition as a musician. Your audience, you're growing your reserve of knowledge, how you run your business, how you run your band, how you monetize what you do. Over time, if you do it properly, then you're going to grow a great business. If you're a musician that is terrible at that and you don't have an email list, you could be playing for 10 years and still not really have much of a following, because people that do like you never have a way to stay in touch, and they don't know where you are or where you're playing, and eventually they lose touch with you. And that's the problem, is most people just suck at business. They don't know what to do to monetize their passions. And again, all this stuff is laid out in Mastering Yourself, and you can read it for free. All you got to do is just subscribe to the email newsletter, and you can read all my books just by putting your name and your email in. So let's get back to this guy's email here. He says, I know that you always say a man should be on his purpose, but I did that throughout my 20s and it didn't pan out like I hoped it would, and now I feel behind in life. Well, he doesn't really say what he wants to do now, or maybe he's still into music, but the point being is that if you played for 10 years and you still have no email list, I wouldn't say the music was the problem or that you were the problem. It was your strategy sucked. You simply didn't do anything to build a way to stay in contact with your audience, which should always be growing. If you're continuing to play, it's just like these videos. My videos are like my advertisement for what I do. It encourages a small percentage of the people that really are passionate about what they're hearing and seeing to go to my website and give me their email address, because they want to stay in contact with the latest information and latest videos that I put out. Doesn't matter whether you're an attorney or a musician or you're in the construction industry, you always want to have a good email list that adds value to people's lives, good information on your product or service that people would like to continue consuming. I have discovered a new passion and purpose in life, but I'm afraid to pursue it because it's another creative outlet. I'm wondering if I should instead dedicate my time to something I'm less passionate about but has more potential to increase my income. I would say you should keep working in the trades, doing what you're doing, because you're doing great at it. And whatever this new creative outlet is, you got to do it on the side. But same thing, maybe you're getting into art. I don't know what it is that you're doing because you didn't say, but same principles apply. You got to build an email list so people can consume whatever the hell it is that you're selling or you're making or you're creating. You could be in a newspaper, maybe you're in the news business. Same thing. You have to build your viewership and your readership, and you earn every single one of those people one person at a time. Because like I said, you talk to most musicians, hey, do you have an email list? Oh, no. Yeah, I got to get around to that. That's why most of them never really go anywhere. They never really think from a business perspective, what am I in the business of? I'm wondering if I should instead dedicate my time to something I'm less passionate about but has more potential to increase my income. Well, you already got, like I said, you got a good job. Keep doing that. If you work in the trades, you're probably working a set number of hours a week. When you work for somebody else, you know what you're getting. You continue to invest for your future retirement while you build your side hustle on the side. Again, this is all laid out in Mastering Yourself. He says, I know I'm not an idiot, but I've always hated school. I'm not sure if I can do college. Well, the only reason you go to college is because it's going to give you a degree that's going to enable you to get a job that's going to pay you a lot more money than you would make or be able to make without that college degree. And just going to college to get a degree that's not going to increase your income earning potential is an absolute fucking waste of your money. And a lot of kids are doing that. They go to college, they get $100,000 in debt for some bullshit degree, and then they end up waiting tables, you can wait tables, you don't need a fucking degree for that. And then on top of that, you got debt you can't get out from underneath of because you can't cancel student debt even through bankruptcies. It's like he literally makes you into a debt serf or a debt slave. I have the fear, coach. I'm afraid to pursue my passion and purpose in life because I did it once and feel like it set me back. Like I said, you just had a shitty strategy. I mean, I'm assuming you played and became a pretty good musician, but again, if you didn't have a sound business strategy that was, I mean, you look at a band like Coldplay. Everybody knows what Coldplay is, and they have millions and millions of fans all over the world that have consumed their music. And they also have a giant fucking email list. And so if you're subscribed to their email list, you're going to get emails that says, hey, we're playing these cities or playing these dates. And then a percentage of those people in the email list will go, ooh, that's my city. And they'll sign up and they'll buy a ticket. But the thing with Coldplay is he's a great songwriter. And that was the thing with Gordon Lightfoot. He was great, but it took many years to get great. Repetition is the mother of skill. And just like what's interesting, like when you look at like a comedian, what is it like? Take a Joe Rogan, because everybody kind of knows who Joe Rogan is. What a comedian does, they write their bits, they write their show, they write all their jokes, and they get up in front of an audience and they perform it and they record it, and then they go back and the good ones go back and they listen to it. Oh, well, that joke just didn't land, so they try to change the words and try to change the joke around a little bit, and then the next time they perform, they do that bit with the new line in it, and that one gets a laugh, whereas the first one didn't. And they keep doing that and refining their approach, and they do that comedy bit routine enough times to where they're getting steady laughing and steady applauses throughout it. And then they go and film their Netflix special, and everybody goes, wow, you're so amazing. All they did was practice telling their jokes to people. The ones that landed, they kept in, and the ones that didn't, they changed, or they deleted completely and put something else in. Repetition's the mother of skill, so they continued to refine their approach until they got enough consistent laughing throughout their performances that they were ready to film it and ready to sell it. And then people watch that and they go, wow, that guy's so funny, he's so amazing. But they don't see all the work that went into it. You gotta study what the successful people are doing. When you were in the music business, how many musicians that were really successful did you really study and drill down? What are they doing to make all the money that they're making? What are they doing to be so successful? Did you go through those things? Because most people don't. You want to model the success of other people. And like Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. And I've seen countless documentaries on musicians that made it, that struggled early, and they all pretty much did the same thing. And now with technology being the way it is, you can just be an average, decent musician. But if you really love it and you really have a passion for it, you think you do it 10, 15, 20 years, by the time 20 years rolls around, you should be really good, you should have a really tight band, and you should have a very sizable email list. So when a venue asks you to play there, you're able to negotiate your rate because you're going to bring a shit ton of customers. Maybe even you're able to work a percentage where they pay you a percentage of the food and drink cut because of all the customers that you bring in. It's the money that your customers are going to spend that really enables you as a musician to reach your full income earning potential. But if you're just playing a bunch of venues for a couple $100 a night and not building an email list, well, that's just poor business. He says, I feel like I'm afraid to pursue my passion and purpose in life because I did it once and I feel like it set me back and now it's limiting my dating options. Well, you are limiting your dating options because you're telling yourself that you don't make enough money, but you're making more money and you're wealthier than most of the people in the world, dude, whether you realize it or not. Most people don't have the ability. People in Africa would love to make $55,000 a year and be able to be saving 30% every month. And same thing with most Americans. I think it's like 60-70% of most Americans don't even have $1,000 in their bank account. So you're already better than 75% of Americans. Plus, you're in shape. So you're at the top tier of successful men, whether you realize it or not. You're beating yourself up unnecessarily just because you didn't employ a good strategy when you were a musician to grow your business. I would like to find a good woman. I don't care to play the field for the rest of my life, but I worry that even though I have a lot of great things going for me, I am missing the most important ingredient a lot of women are looking for: a high-status career with a good income. Well, that's absolute bullshit. If you've read 3% Man and you actually apply it, then you would know that what you just said is a bullshit statement. But this is your self-perception. This is what you're telling yourself. I'm not good enough. So when you meet a woman, you're worried, oh, what happens when she starts asking me about how much I earn or what I do for a living? Then she's going to think I'm a loser and I don't make enough money. Well, you're already way ahead of 75% of your competition anyways. And so you're beating yourself up completely unnecessarily. And you're talking women out of liking you who already like you because you don't think you're very successful. When in reality, you're successful, more successful than most people will ever be in life. I'm not getting any younger, and the window for a family seems to be closing. Well, men can pretty much have kids almost until the day they die, as long as they're healthy. Part of me wants to wake up to a wife and kids every day, but the other half is terrified of spending the rest of my life in an office, buried with paperwork, in front of a screen all day, like I see so many family men reduced to. Yeah, I'm not interested in that bullshit either. Do I chase money in hopes it will open up my dating options? Nope. Your dating options will open up when you learn to love yourself and love your life. And you're living awesome. You're doing great. You're doing what 3% man says as far as your purpose and your mission. Your strategy kind of sucks. I don't think you've read Mastering Yourself yet. And on top of that, you're ruining your chances because you're talking women out of liking you because you've already decided ahead of time that you're a failure. And so when women start talking to you, you give the vibe off, I'm a loser, you shouldn't want me. And eventually they go, you're right. Or do I pursue my creative passions knowing it will most likely make me less desirable as a long-term partner, father material for a lot of women? Look at that. I'm going to read that again. Or do I pursue my creative passions knowing it will most likely make me less desirable? What a fucked up way of looking at yourself. People will act consistently with how they view themselves to be, whether the view is accurate or not. And I'm telling you, you're already way ahead of most Americans and especially people around the world. And you're beating yourself up and shooting yourself in the foot. And you're a winner and you don't even realize you're a winner because you're telling yourself and convincing yourself that you're a loser. And it's fucking nonsense. The reason that you're not having success with women is because you haven't learned to love and accept yourself and where you're at. You should be excited about the journey. And whatever these creative passions are, you should pursue them. But like I talk about mastering yourself, who are the most successful people in that field? Who are the people that have done the best job of successfully monetizing those creative pursuits? What do they do? How do they advertise? How do they get their customers? Again, it's going to be similar to what I laid out in Mastering Yourself. All the things are there. You must build an audience. You must build a way to continually stay in contact with your customers. Doesn't mean you barrage them with an email every day. Maybe it's just once a week. You send out a list of where you're going to be, or your new products, or your new articles, or your videos, or whatever kind of content that you're going to produce. You got to model the success of other people and find out what they did successfully to get to where they are. The roadmap that I lay out, Mastering Yourself, has everything you need. It doesn't matter what industry you go into. The principles are all the same. It teaches you the fundamentals of the science of high achievement. It's all laid out for you. And if you're still struggling with that and you're still unsure of what to do and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.